First, I'd like to do a bit of housekeeping. Feel free to unmute yourself when it's your turn to speak. Please be mindful of everyone else by muting yourself while others are speaking. You're welcome to put any contact information that you'd like to into the chat. We meet here to share deals, look for deals and solutions we have in need with our real estate. We are not your financial advisors, attorneys, or accountants. We do not endorse or recommend any specific solutions or contractors here. You're advised to do your own due diligence to your own satisfaction before you invest. The first Friday of each month is normally Ask the Attorney with Ms. Catherine Davis. Our meetings are typically recorded, so only share what you want others to know.
Thank you, Laura. All right. Welcome, everybody. It's good to see you. We had a recorded disclaimer from Laura because we're out here in the woods. We have kind of sketchy Wi-Fi. So if I fade out, hopefully Jim and Jeannie will take over because we kind of made them co-host here. So with that, does anybody have anything they want to buy or sell today? I guess we can start off there. I don't really have a lot of announcements. Jim, do you?
I had to unmute myself. No, I don't. Other than making sure everybody goes to our monthly meeting. I think that's next week.
Yeah, that's Tuesday, the 15th, I guess, this month.
Yeah.
And we're having the North Side Landlord. So that'll be an interesting meeting. I don't, if at all possible, please do show up live because we will stream it again. Well, depending on how the internet works out.
Yeah.
I know last month we got kicked out and it was not our fault. I was out of town, but we were running it and it was the Moolahs. They got a new system and for some reason they didn't have good reception on staying in touch. So they it was their fault this time for a change. Usually it's mine.
Yeah. Well, I just think being there in person is so much better. I think you get more out of it. Plus you get the network. So I think meeting in person is so much better than watching it on Zoom.
Absolutely. So it's good to see everybody smiling face. Anybody have anything they want to buy or sell today? I guess we can start there. David, you still have the one in Florissant there? Your friend? See.
Yeah, yes, yeah, we do. Yeah. 5372 Prairie Brook in Florissant, 3-bed, 2-bath, full basement, fenced in yard, single car garage, about 1,200 square foot. It's 119,000. ARV's around 220. I would have pushed the ARV to 250, but that's because I do a really nice rehab. So that's up to you if you're going to rent it or do a rehab. It has been demoed, so it needs all new cabinets, flooring, lights. So, whatever you want to call that, full rehab, in there. There's no, tearing down walls or anything like that, or tearing out drywall or rerunning electric. It's just the, paint, floor, lights, and cabinets and stuff like that. You could probably always put a new roof on. I always like to do that, but that's kind of up to you. If you're going to rent it, I certainly wouldn't put a new roof on it, kind of thing. But that's 119,000. Rehab might be about 50,000. I hate to throw numbers out like that because everybody's different, with it and stuff. And even your ARV is debatable, and stuff. We had somebody offer us, I think, 58,000 for the house on it, and I'm like, holy cow, you must have a really, really expensive rehab, or you really, really, really don't know how to calculate an ARV, okay, or you're a really, really, really cheap investor. One of the three, I guess. I don't know, but anyway, that is still available. I'll try to find something to throw in the chat box here. I'm in Branson right now, so I don't have my network drive, so I gotta probably type things myself. But anyway, I'll put something in the chat box. 119,000, 5372 Prairie Brook Lane, Florissant, Missouri, 63033. Thanks a lot, John.
Thank you, David. And there's a good opportunity for somebody, and some of the work's already been done. I know you talked about that, which is a lot of times I like that because you can really see what's, what you're getting into. So like you said, the ARV can be what, it depends on what you're going to do. Are you going to rent the house or are you going to resell it? So that makes a difference on, on what you put into it. So thank you. All right. All right. Anybody else got anything they'd like to sell? No. Buy anybody looking to any buyers out there? Uh-oh, I'm unstable.
Your
Yeah,
internet's stable, not you, John.
and not just the internet. No. Yeah, if I fade out, I apologize, but it was real good this morning, and then I've been fading out for the last hour. So, and we do have electricians here, but it doesn't seem to help the satellites. So, we just get the water hooked up, we'd be in great shape. Which will hopefully be maybe later today. We'll see. All right. Anybody have anything they're looking to buy out there today? Or anybody have any questions on anything? I know we got a lot of very knowledgeable people here that can help with a lot of things.
Yeah, this is Fabian. I have a question. I'm trying to get the group's consensus as it relates to how you guys have your property structured from an asset protection. So, for example, are all your properties in LLCs and umbrella policies or in trust or deeds? I have some properties out of state that I'm trying to figure out best course of action to put those on an asset protection.
Mm-hmm. That's a great question, Fabian. I think that boils down to more of an individual basis. And I know when we structured ours many years ago, and it's kind of an ongoing thing. But with my partners who were my parents on some of it, and then I had some on others, we ended up doing an S corporation and then LLCs on other ones. So what we ended up doing was meeting with our CPA and meeting with the attorney separately, and they both had different ideas, which we had to come together with based on what we were doing. So there's not really a one size fits all that I know of necessarily. Does anybody else have any comments on anything like that they'd like to share here with Fabian?
Yeah, that's like an hour-long presentation, seminar discussion. Okay, because one, I'm an engineer. Two, I hate paying taxes, and I love real estate. So when you combine all three of those, the answer is very varied. I've done just about everything and every different way for different reasons. And John is right that you have to do it on your own situation and talk to your own attorney. At best, all I could say or someone else should say on here, in my opinion, is what did David do? What did I do in my situation? Because none of what John's saying or what I would say is any kind of, legal advice, for you, because I can tell you after using attorneys and financial planners, it is very specific. It gets down into, long-term rentals, short-term rentals, vacation rentals, rehabs, taxes and stuff like that. So, I can try and say this for me as a general statement. For me, in my rehabs, I use an LLC filing as an S corporation. Okay. For my rentals, I use an LLC as what's called the default partnership. Okay. So any LLC formed initially is a default partnership. Those are what I use for rentals because it's passive income. Because rehabbing is considered a work and a job and earned income, it becomes FICA taxable, which is like 15%. So an S corporation is an IRS designation that lets you take a reasonable salary, okay, 30, 40, 50%, and the rest of it's FICA free. So that's why I use the S corporation. That's the 10-second overview of kind of what I do. It gets into a lot more stuff when you get into the rental side, because now we can throw in a management company somewhere. and stuff. Other thing you talked about out of state, I would say that keep in mind that there's a lot of, Wyoming LLCs and blah, 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 and stuff like that. None of that stuff matters. Something goes wrong at your house, your butt's getting sued in the state where that house is at. Okay. I don't care what your LLC is in another state. Okay. And so when you do houses in other states, that's where it resides. And so for me, I would do an LLC in that individual state. If you have a LLC that's, say, Wyoming or somewhere else, it doesn't matter. It has to register as a foreign entity. So you're going to be in that state, in either, case with it, and stuff like that. But if you want to contact me offline, we could talk then the rest of the hour about it and stuff. But that's my quick overview of kind of what I do in general.
Thanks, David. Appreciate the insight. And I did take a couple of the stuff you just provided. I wrote that down, and I may contact you. I think I have your information from some previous quotes that you already provided. So appreciate it. Thank you.
And David Soto, do you have anything to say about that? I know you deal with some out-of-state landlords with your company, Soto Property Solutions. You and Stacy both. Do you have anything that you would like to add to that?
No, I just know how I set up my entities, and that's going to be different than even my business. My business is an S-corp, the rest are LLCs, and I try not to give any advice or suggestions. We have owners that have them in their name, which I think is a little bit dangerous, and we have some that are in LLCs, and the ones that I think needs some guidance are the ones that have each individual property in its own LLC. You don't need to do that. You can set up what the word for it is with an LLC that you can have each one as its own entity within that LLC. So yeah, but bottom line is unless I'm asked and I give that suggestion and seek counsel from your attorney. That's my response.
Thank you. Hopefully a little bit there, Fabian. That's good.
No, it did.
Question.
There's just a lot of conflicting information that's out there. So I'm trying to gather as much information into everyone's point, is trying to insulate it into my specific area as far as properties that I have. And then, thinking 5 years down the line, what would it look like differently? So definitely appreciate everyone's input. Very insightful.
Yeah, I think that's also one good reason to use your personal CPA and attorney, because they'll know your situation, because you can get all the opinions in the world, but it doesn't apply to you. I know, some of the stuff we set up, and I know David Randolph talked a little bit about this, but I have the S corporation and the LLCs. Now the LLCs, when I first started, it was treated like taxable income because it was like a dealer situation when maybe you're a wholesaler or flipping, but then when you hold on to the stuff, it's a little different. The thing with the S corporation is it's a pass-through entity, and that way they separate it, but you're actually paying taxes twice on some of this stuff. So what I end up doing is offsetting it with stuff from some of the LLCs, and that gets into a whole longer conversation. And just one size doesn't fit all. That's that's the best thing I can tell you. You just have to find out what your situation is. So more complicated than we care for, but the bottom line is, what I found out is nobody will do it for you as good as you'll do it for yourself. I think I learned that from Robert Kiyosaki many years ago. He was talking about, he went to the accountant and they said, well, you owe this much in taxes. And he says, well, I don't have that much in taxes. Well, said, well, you don't have enough deductions. So he went back and found all the deductions he needed. And that's what I found I had to do over the years. And I still do to this day, because my accountant will just take the information I gave him, maybe make some suggestions, but I have to know what it is for me. So, to pass on to them to make my life good, so hopefully that helped a little bit.
Well, mine is a little vague, but now that my life situation has transitioned. I am looking to buy my first property, and then I'm also considering buying a much smaller, like a teensy weensy house, just for me to get out of being in a renter situation, and then to possibly have a second building, like a fourplex or something that would have at least 3 other units within it, that could look lots of different various ways. Like last night I was looking at a property. It was like in well, it was past fence. It's high ridge, and it had like 2 trailers on it and a house all on one property. And I was like, wow, maybe. So it's like, it could look a lot of different ways, like something that could just cash flow with 3 different ways, or, so that that's what I was thinking, like to be able to get enough cash. My goal is to get enough cash flow to cover my monthly expenses, because I'm not like a big spender. I don't like, need to be, I don't need to have a whole lot of money to be able to be financially free. So I'm kind of hoping to do that mostly with one property, because I think that would be doable for me personally. But and then I was thinking, I didn't know if I wanted to live with renters or not, like if that would be weird, or if they'd be knocking on my door and stuff, or if that's doable. So I thought about having like I saw this one in Overland that was like 30,000 a while back, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. So those types of little teensy houses come up a lot, and I was thinking about maybe buying something like that in cash, like something really small just for myself that I could rehab, and then having my investment property somewhere else. So there's lots of options. I could live on the property, I could not. As far as living, like if that could all be accomplished in one property, then fine. But if it can't, then I'm open to 2. So I do want to stay in the St. Louis metro area. I don't want to go to like Columbia or, Illinois, or, even Lake St. Louis is too far for me. So it's like, I like being more centralized. So, I mean, so as far as like where my buying box is, I've looked at a lot of different things, but as far as like you guys, I know the more specific, the better, but I am a single female, 43 years old. So it's like, I don't necessarily want to be in the worst parts of town. So but an investment property, if it was 2 separate properties, then I could do that probably, but I still need to I plan on putting a lot of sweat equity into my buildings. And so I do need to be able to be safe wherever it is that I would be working on them, like late hours at night or different things. So, I don't know if that helps at all. I do like garages too. If something has a 2-car garage, my eyes pop. I'm like, get excited about that. So if you guys have anything that has like garages on it, like especially 2 or more, it's definitely a bonus. 1's great, but if it has no garage at all, I'm kind of sad. So that's, anyways, I mean, I don't know if that helps anyone or if that even, I don't know. So, and my information for those on the recorded line, my email is mary.gallifrey@gmail.com. That's spelled mary.gallofre@gmail.com. And my phone number is 314-707-5656. And I live in Chesterfield right now. So basically like somewhere within 30 minutes all the way around of that. That's 63017 zip code. It's a little too high end for me in Chesterfield. So I'm looking for something a little bit more humble as far as my living situation, like Overland, or I don't know, something more, less expensive. And I'll put my information in the chat as well.
Okay, thank you, Mary. Yeah, if you don't mind typing that in there too for people that would like to write it down. And thank you for mentioning that audibly too for the replay watchers. All right.
One thing, John, I can't help Mary with the property, but if she wants to live on the property, like a fourplex or something, I think Stacy or Dave can tell her the advantages of having a property manager for those properties, and they won't know that you're the owner, so you won't have them knocking on your door. So you should think of that if you find something, a fourplex or something, feel free to do that. And then the other people do not have to know you're the owner.
That's a great point, Jim, because in fact, that brings up something that I came across many years ago. I never owned anything, which I really legally don't, because one of the problems I had early on being a landlord is I would have a soft heart and say, oh yeah, you can slide till next week, which turns into the people moving in with the three-legged dog named Lucky that really is a pit bull, which turns into all this stuff that goes on like that. I don't own anything. And I always say, that I have to meet with the board for any question. So even if you're on, like you say, if you're in a fourplex and you live there too, nobody has to necessarily know you own anything. Even if you do, you work for the company. That's what I say. I just work for the company, and that is the truth. I am very truthful on this, but we meet with the board every Tuesday at noon. I will let you know what your question is, and then you can decide. You have time to think about it. And I could say, we met with it, and I really stuck up for you, but there's really not much I could do after sitting there. And sometimes it used to just be me sitting on the deck, thinking about it and writing down the pros and cons. So that's a very good point and something to think about. And I'm sure that, David and Stacy probably have a little bit better handle on some of that kind of stuff and why it's important.
Yeah. I don't even want the phone call, or I don't even want them to ask me anything. So so that's an advantage. Like I said, Stacy and Dave would be happy to talk to you, give you the probably many other advantages of a property manager if you don't want to deal with it. There's Stacy.
Stacy Lowe. I'll put my contact information in the chat, but also say it out loud. But yeah, we're a full service brokerage, but our specialty is property management. And if you do get into a situation where you have tenants, a fourplex or on the property, it is best to not tell them who you are, because they will be asking you for everything and giving you sob stories, and just say you don't know who the owner is, and talk to the property manager, and we will take care of it. That's what you pay us for, is tenant headaches.
Well, I'm not a good, I'm kind of like I have a big mouth, and I'm not a good liar. So I don't think that would work for me, because it's like, people be like, oh, like I'm a chit chatty person, and like I'd be like chit chatting with the residents and stuff, and then be like, oh, what do you do? Yeah, I mean, it's like I wouldn't be like, yeah, and then they see me gardening all the time, like, oh, do you work for the owner? Do you work here?
Yeah, well, once you get into one situation where the tenant sweet talks you into something that you don't really want to do, and then it blows up in your face, you'll learn.
Yes.
It costs you a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of grief is what
a lot of headaches.
A lot of grief that you wish you wouldn't have done. And like I said, I don't own anything to this day because of that. You can only find a couple of things in my personal name, and it's nothing that's going to have to do with tenants or any kind of business dealings.
So what do you focus on then? If you don't do that, what do you do? What do you do then?
Well, the company owns everything. We do a lot of business, but it's not me personally. It's not my personal stuff. I can't make that emotional answer. I can't tell you it's okay to move let the three-legged dog Lucky move in for 2 weeks only. I can't tell you that. I will find out for you. It says it's against our policy in your lease, but I'll find out for you. I work for the company. I work for my companies, my LLC.
Oh, so you do own things. You're just saying that you don't own things.
I'm telling the truth. I do not own things. The companies own things.
It's not in his name.
No, I get it. But I mean, but your company owns real estate and rentals though, correct?
The LLCs that I'm associated with do, yes.
Okay.
I work for these companies. I get money from the companies. They pay me. I don't own any. You can look me up and you'll see very few things.
Yeah.
Easier, just go to the property manager.
Have your property manager do it. And that's another thing too. I use the board a lot. I have to meet with the board. Well, there's different companies, different LLCs. They have different people involved. That's part of the board. You know, we have to meet. We'll find out about it. I did have one guy, this is kind of funny, actually two guys in court one time, and they kept saying they wanted to talk to the board. You know, it's like, well, you're never going to get to talk to the board. It doesn't work that way. And then the judge just finally said, you know, it boils down to show me the money. You guys didn't pay, you're out. They actually took it to trial and cost a lot of money. Another reason I think you're better off, especially if you're just starting having a property manager. It's a little bit of money up front. It's not near worth the heartache that you'll go through, though. That is my opinion, but that's what I would share with you, based on that. If you want to do it, you want to live in your fourplex, I would have somebody else dealing with the tenants. I wouldn't do it. That's just me.
No, I mean, because I know the disclaimer covers any liability, so you guys can be free to say what you really think. It's absolutely fine. It says you're not financial advisors, so you can give financial advice and you're not liable to be wrong. It's fine. Yeah. So the question is, like living in it, you think is a stupid idea, and I should have a small little house, or I should have something else to live in and then have that as my investment property separate.
No.
Jim's saying no.
That's not what we're saying at all.
I'm just saying, if you have a property, especially if you live on the property, like a fourplex, or you have two houses on the property, you don't want them to become knocking on your door saying, this is broken, I want this, I want to do that. A property manager, and Stacy and Dave can go ahead and break in any time since they're the experts, but the property manager will take those phone calls. They don't have to know who you are. And then if something does break, if the air conditioner breaks, do you have somebody to call? They have somebody to call. They have somebody that's probably going to go out there when everybody else is going to tell you, oh, it's a 2-week wait because it's been 90 degrees and I've got 20 other customers before you, where they've got people they work with and they can get people there probably a lot sooner than you could on your own.
Yeah, but I guess do you think it's better to live off-site, or because of all that?
Well,
and of course the disclaimer covers your guys's.
No,
you can say whatever you want.
You can live on site, just act like you're another typical tenant. Don't disclose to all the other tenants that you are the owner, because then they will start coming to you with all of their problems. Unless you want to do that, that's up to you, but it's easier to have a property manager handle all of that for you, because we know legally what we can and cannot do, and how to respond and all of that stuff.
Yeah, no, I plan on having a property manager. I know I'm going to be the one, I can do so many things. I mean, I fix things and I paint things, and I'm a gardener. I have a lot of skills. And so they would see me constantly working on stuff. I would be there all the time doing something. So they would figure it out, and if
just tell them you work for the property management company.
Okay.
Again, do whatever you feel comfortable with. It's just once they know that you're the owner, it's over. It's going to be an issue for you. Yes, correct.
Bummer.
That's one of the advantages of using the property management company, is that we don't get emotionally involved. So their stories that they want to cry about, pleading, we can't. It's not our property. We can't make deals with them to let them go without paying rent for 2 months. We're no different than a utility company. You don't pay your electric bill, your electric gets shut off. You don't pay your rent, you get evicted. There's no ways about it, and there's no begging or pleading. We're not heartless, but again, it's not our property that we're managing. It's your property, and we have fiduciary responsibility to make sure that you're taken care of. So.
Got it. So you two work at the same company, huh? I see Soto Property Solutions on both of your
Yep.
tagline thing.
We're both licensed realtors, but we're specialties property management. Dave's the owner and broker, and I'm the business development manager.
Wow, fancy. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, good conversation. I know that Blake, you have your hand up there, virtual hand. Do you have something that you'd like to say there? Yep.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate one thing. I'm using Soto and Stacy to help find some rental properties, and they've been terrific. You know, having a realtor that focuses on investment properties and rentals is great. So I just want to throw that out there. Secondly, and I'm going to put my information in here as well, but I am looking for a long-term rental, single-family home, potentially a small multifamily in the city or county. And then to piggyback on that, wanting to know if anyone has any good contacts for wholesalers that I could reach out to and address it that way. So that would be great.
Okay, and what is your contact information, Blake? You don't mind?
Yeah, my direct line is 636-359-2829, but I'll put my email and my phone number in the chat so everyone can see it when they have time.
Okay. And you said you're looking for possibly a multifamily in the city. Do you have any certain area that you prefer over other areas? Any certain price range or anything else you'd like to be a little more specific with?
No, not really. I look at really anything.
Okay, just cash flow properties. That's what you're looking for.
You got it. Yeah, I should have said that. Yeah, something long-term rental that can cash flow.
Great. Okay. All right. Thank you. And that's another good point too. Using a professional realtor, Mary, that does deal with property management, like Blake was saying, you know, they know what to look for. They can kind of customize things, what you're looking for when it comes down to it. And especially if they'll be the ones managing it, they're not going to send you to a place they don't want to deal with either. And by knowing a little bit about what you're talking about, where you're coming from, that can be a major advantage that you have.
Yeah,
And,
that's so cool. I didn't know that they also help you find the property. I thought that property managers just managed, and so I didn't know they were realtors, and that's all news to me. So I was not aware of what their business was. So they're realtors, so they do it all. Is that what you're saying?
We do, yes. Legally in the state of Missouri, you are supposed to be licensed if you manage properties. However, there are a lot of professional looking property management companies that are not licensed. So that is important when you're searching for a property manager to make sure that they are licensed. That is the correct legal way it is supposed to be done in the state of Missouri. But yeah, we're a full service brokerage. So we do it all, but our specialty is property management.
And they also will help find you a tenant unless you're experienced on how to do the background checks and everything else. Yes, the property manager we'll put a tenant in there, and then if they put the wrong tenant in there, guess what? They're the ones that can have to deal with it. So they're usually
That's right. Yeah, so it's a good way. What is that called? A vested interest in success. But so okay, so how do I get in touch with you guys? I assume a Google search would help me, or you want to help me out and give it?
I put my information in the chat.
Oh, it's on your thing.
Yeah, and it's in the chat too. But it's Stacy, STACY at SOTOPS.com. Email's best. Shoot me an email and I can send you over. It's a pretty detailed packet, but it goes over all of our services from start to finish and everything that we do, from sales to property management to finding the tenants to just everything that we do. It's pretty detailed. But you can
Oh, wow.
Yeah, you can read over that, and it'll have some links to our website too. So just shoot me an email and I'll send you all that information.
Okay, so I have Stacy at SOTOPS.com.
Yep.
Okay, I'll do that. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, Amber, you had a question here in the chat. Can you unmute yourself and explain what you're trying to say here? People doing monthly meeting. Yeah, the PMs, private messages.
No, John. Sorry, property managers, not private messages.
Okay.
Yeah. So my question was, PM can stand for anything. But my question was, I have a great one. I think I've said that before, but just curious, because we do have people who come to like the monthly meetings or even here maybe sometimes, and they say, hey, I'm a property manager, I'm getting into property management. If you're looking for a property manager, here's my information. Is it rude to ask someone if they're licensed? As Stacy just mentioned, you're supposed to be licensed, but from a liability standpoint, as an investor, should I be asking them for their credentials?
I'm going to tell you
Yes.
absolutely yes, because I got burned by 2 property managers that were not licensed. And that's another whole story. One of them had a big business set up down on Grand. I went in there was people, 30, 40 people all over. They rented my property. I found out they were not licensed later. They ran off with a few $1,000. It was somebody that was referred to me off of another group here in town. Then I had another property manager that was not, it was a house we were selling. She kept the deposit. She actually screened them and acted like she was doing a good job. And everything looked good, but she kept several $1,000s from these people. The state of Missouri actually got involved and sued them. We have judgments against them, and I'd be happy to share them, but not right now. But that's something, and I found out they were not licensed. Because they were not licensed, the state couldn't even do anything other than sue them on a civil matter. And they took them for, I think it was $10,000 or whatever the maximum was, but you still have to collect it because they're not a licensed professional. There's nothing there. And we lost the money. It was not so much me that got hurt, but my tenants and my clients that got hurt. And that's the big downfall, because that is a reflection back on you. And that's what I said with the investigator from the state. I said, well, what should you do? Ask everybody. And he says, yes, always ask them for a copy of their license, then go to the state and look them up. Now, I don't like to encourage that because that digs up other stuff, but that's something that you probably do want to do just to protect yourself. So as far as asking, yes, I'd say absolutely. And that's one reason we do the disclaimer, because before you do business with anybody, whether you meet them here or at the live meeting or whatever, always do your own due diligence and check them out. And I'll tell you what, go look at them on Facebook and see what they post there. I got burned by a contractor, one of them last year. And if I would have looked at his Facebook page first, I would have not done business with the guy, just based on other things. So that's just, social media will tell you a lot, how professional they are. In what they do. But as far as the license, to answer your question, I would definitely do that, Amber. I would definitely check them out.
All right. Thank you.
And add to that, I don't know where, but you can look up to see if someone is licensed realtor in Missouri. I'm not sure where, but I know you can look that up and look up if their business is legit or not.
Yeah, the state has a site right on the their state site where you can look that up. You just type in the name and our DBA or whatever they have. I know that now. I don't have the link, but I know you should do that now, because I had 2 property managers in particular, and there was no reason I should have questioned them, because actually where I found them was from the South Side group. And they had conversations with people. They were supposedly legitimate property managers, and it turned out neither one of them were. They were just scammers. So you have to protect yourself, unfortunately.
But there are property managers that have a legitimate business and that they don't even know that they're supposed to be licensed. Like they do fine work, but they don't know that they're breaking the law. So there's a lot of them out there. So just tread lightly when you're talking to everybody.
So on that note, what type, you guys keep talking about being official, what exactly does that mean? I mean, this actually is first news to me, that you have to be a realtor to be a property manager. Is that the realtor license? Is that what you guys are referring to?
So whoever owns the business has to be a broker in the state of Missouri.
Broker. I'm so ignorant. I don't even know what that is. Okay. All right.
That's so like there's a typical sales real estate agent, and then a broker is like their boss, a person above them that like oversees them to make sure that they're doing things correctly.
Oh.
And
wow.
You have to be a licensed agent for 3 years before you can be a broker.
Wow.
You have to pass the test and all of that stuff for the state of Missouri real estate.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Interesting. Thanks.
And that just, I think, holds you to a higher standard too, because I know my experience with the bad ones that I had, they acted legitimate, but they were not, brokers and agents that are licensed, they have a higher standard they have to, have to conform to. So that's definitely something to keep in mind. But do your own due diligence always. Always believe people, but check them out. Always check them out.
If you're licensed too, you're regulated by the MREC, which is Missouri Real Estate Commission. So like John said, he tried to file a complaint and they couldn't do anything because they weren't legal, they weren't licensed. So if you do have issues, you always have the MREC that you can fall back on and complain about us too, and they can handle it and reprimand us or whatever as needed.
And someone could say that their license is like current, or they could just say, oh yeah, I have a license, and it could be expired. Cause I know, don't you guys have to renew your stuff all the time?
Yep.
And you have like,
Every year we have to renew it, and then you have to pay like quarterly dues and stuff.
yeah, so we'd have to ask to see if you're going to vet somebody, you'd have to like ask to, physically see their current, certificate or whatever and have it emailed over. I mean, cause how would you prove that to someone who asked you?
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to look it up online. There is, we could, look it up and send it to you and our license, but they expire, or you have to renew every year. So you'd be able to look on the Missouri real estate website and see if someone's current or not.
That's really helpful as well. Thanks. Any news on the tax sales since it's August? Anybody got an update on anything with the tax? I know it's that month again, that time of the year.
The lists are out there and you could go to the sale if you like. I think it's the 28th. I want to say this year. I'm not sure.
I didn't know if anybody was planning on.
They're all on the same day and every.
Okay.
All right. Anybody else have anything today? Uh-oh, my internet is unstable. Can you hear me? Not really.
Yes, we can still hear you.
Okay. Keeps telling me I'm unstable here. So, and I'm not sure if it says internet, so I'm going to take it at that. Could be my chair. I'm on some gravel here.
Yeah.
I might be unstable in more ways than one. Anybody else have anything they'd like to share today? Glad the Wi-Fi's hanging in so far. A lot of good conversations.
John, are you doing another seminar like you did last weekend about areas of town and helping homeowners choose? What was that seminar?
Oh, we did a kind of a brief workshop on home buying and what's involved with home buying. We probably will do another one in the next few weeks, maybe in the next month. I'm waiting to hear from a couple of people. What we did is we did a full 1-day workshop in about two and a half hours. So it was a lot of information. And I know the feedback we got was we need more details in each one, but I kind of knew that because what we did is you could actually do it in a whole weekend. You wouldn't have all the information. Just the credit alone, I know could go for several
You're
You're-
kind of cutting in and out. John, do you have a,
John, yeah, you're fading in and out, John.
I think somebody probably has to text him that.
Okay.
Process.
John, okay, I think John dropped out, so I guess that means it's me. So one thing I want to say to Mary is, and Stacy can cut in anytime, is if you want to be a landlord, there's certain things you need to know. And if you don't need to know, you're going to get in trouble. And I'm going to give one example. MSD. You're going to have your tenants pay their utilities. Are you going to have them pay MSD, Metropolitan Sewer District, also? And the reason I'm saying that is if they don't pay it, what are they? Nothing's going to happen to them because they can't turn the sewer off. They can turn the gas off. They can turn the electric off. They can turn the water off. You can't turn the sewer off. So MSD is going to put a lien on your property. And you may not know about it until there's $1,000 or more or thousands of dollars of liens on your property, where a property manager would know that and would include MSD in the rent, things like that. So they can keep you out of trouble. That's just one example. And I don't know if Stacy wants to comment, but that's a big one because that burns a lot of people.
Why couldn't I just have all the MSD bills? I mean, I plan to use a property manager, but I'm just saying, just to speak about the topic, I don't see why we couldn't, as landlords, just have the MSD bills in our name and all sent to our address, and then we pay them all.
You can do that. If you know that needs to be done, yeah, you can do that.
Yeah,
And
you can get a duplicate bill sent to your house, and MSD actually has to stay in the owner's name. But if you expect the tenants to pay it just by them getting the bill and it's in your name, they get behind or they don't pay it at all. And even if you ask MSD for a duplicate bill, who knows if you're going to get one or not. So typically we set it up on auto pay and then we include it in the rent or charge them monthly out of their rent for the exact price of the bill every month.
That makes sense to me. So, it's probably what I would do.
I was just using that as an example of things that could get you. I want get you if you don't know. So and I'm happy to hear that you're going to use a property manager, because especially if it's your first rental, because they can just help you on a lot of things. And
yeah, I'm sure I could. Yeah, exactly.
It's worth every penny you pay them. I mean,
that's good.
It is.
Yeah, I need all the friends I can get as far as my team, quote unquote, my team, because I don't have a team, so I need a team.
Yeah.
Just me.
So like anything else, do your own due diligence on whoever's on your team. Do your own due diligence. But yeah, this is not something that you want to go in by yourself if you've never done it before.
Great advice. Thank you.
Okay. So since John's off, it looks like anybody else have anything they want to buy, sell, have any services? Anybody else out there, electrician, carpenter, whatever, that wants to talk about what they can offer to people? Any other questions?
I don't have a question. Hey, David, this is Fabian. I'm going to call you right after this to possibly discuss maybe some coaching opportunities. And also, I don't think we have time, but for next week, I plan on attending and maybe look into or try to gather some information as it relates to getting into commercial real estate, both from that perspective and financing wise. Maybe looking at 8 to 16 multi-family unit. So, but just trying to get the groups insight into anyone that's into that at the present moment. But like I said, that could be a conversation piece for next week.
I think it was Blake who asked about the wholesalers. I don't know if you've been on some of these other calls we've had on Fridays, but Laura Lennington is one that's a wholesaler that works with people in the REIA. And like I said, I'm not recommending her. I'm just telling you, just do your own due diligence. And there's been a couple other ones, but I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head.
Okay, thank you. Great.
Do you have her contact information?
Blake, I
don't.
do. I have her email and phone number. I'll send it to you.
Thanks, Stacy.
Okay, great. Okay, anybody else have anything? It's getting close to noon. Okay, thank you very much. And I am again gonna, I don't want to say stress, but if you can make the meeting on Tuesday, either Zoom or in person is, as far as I'm concerned, is so much better. Plus you get to network, you get to meet a lot of people in person. And I think you get more out of it if you come in person. So hope to see you there. If nobody has anything else, I think we're going to go ahead and end. Thank you very, very much, and see you Tuesday or next Friday.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.
And Blake, I think I have a wholesaler for you, so I'll send you that.